Of course, I have to ask you straight away, what can you tell us about the latest situation in Kiev?
So in Kyiv, basically they're hunkering down. You see more and more fortifications every day, more and more metal tank traps, more and more sandbags, more and more concrete barriers. And outside of Kyiv, there are a few villages that are contested. And that's where I've been spending a lot of my time the past 3 days, where there's a huge, I guess you would say, influx because they're coming into Kyiv, but there's a huge exodus from that area of civilians as these towns are getting shelled pretty brutally.
What have you witnessed directly of fighting?
At the moment, all the fighting that I've witnessed has been exchanges of artillery, stuff where you don't see eyeball to eyeball. You don't actually make visual. So I've seen a lot of the results of Russian munitions being used. And I haven't seen any Russian soldiers that haven't been captured. But yeah, that's what I would say.
And have you seen casualties?
Many. Oh, sure. Yeah, lots. Almost, I would say, entirely civilian. There have been a lot of civilian residences, schools, pharmacies, all the things you don't want to get hit, get hit.
How long have you been on the ground there?
So I got here on February 1st, and I was in Donbass out east, where the conflict has been simmering for 8 years now, for a few days. And then when things escalated so massively on, I think it was the night of the 23rd, early morning of the 24th, then I came back to Kyiv.
And you're saying that you're spending time in outlying areas, villages out with Kiev itself. What is the spirit of the people? What's the word? What are people saying? How are they responding to their situation?
So one thing I want to stress is just like in the UK or the US or any country, everyone in Ukraine is an individual. Their people's reactions are different. But I would say if I had to paint everybody with the same brush, I would say resilient. This escalation, this phase of the escalation is still very recent. It's still kind of a shock. The Ukrainian military and the Ukrainian territorial defense, who are armed civilians, have performed better than I think anyone expected. The Russians have performed worse than anyone expected, which is good for morale here. And I think that I would say, from a personal note, I'm very impressed with the resilience of the people here.
And is there a sense of the inevitable? You'd have to be looking on at the potential that Putin's forces wield, and thinking that over the longer term it must take an enervating toll on defenders, however determined they might be, or conversely, are the people seeming to give off a sense that they would be able to continue to push back effectively?
Well, I don't think it's again, I don't, nothing entitles me to speak on behalf of a country of 40 million people that I'm not from. But I would say that it's not a question of ability to hold out. It's a question of necessity. They're not going anywhere. This is Ukraine. They're Ukrainians. So they'll resist basically indefinitely. I think that from abroad, we can kind of hem and haw and look at these two countries and weigh the numbers and see which one's stronger, which one's not so strong. That's not, I would say, the mental calculations that people here are doing. I'd say, this is home, so they're not leaving. Well, actually, I should correct that. A million people have left. A million women, children, civilians have left, but military-age males and indeed many civilians, women, children, and elderly have stayed as well.
I can see, obviously, where you are, the lights are on, there's still power. Are you seeing that people are still supplied with the necessities of life? Is there still food? Is there still, all the necessities that keep people going?
It's a lot more scant than it was 2 weeks ago, but I would say yeah. So under the condition of martial law, nothing's allowed to be open except for gas stations, supermarkets, pharmacies, and they all have really long lines out of them. They don't have the same variety of products that they did 2 weeks ago, but you know, people are getting by.
And as a member of the press in that situation, are you feeling secure insofar as a person can feel secure in a war zone, or do you get are you monitoring the situation, with and weighing up the expectation that you might have to get out of Dodge?
Yeah, of course, of course. It's a question that me and my colleagues go over every day, multiple times. Kyiv, they're still a ways away, and they're trying to encircle it. They gradually are having some success, some failures, but more of concern are cities in the south, Mariupol, Kherson, Kharkiv up north, and as detached as it may seem, we kind of are looking at those cities as bellwethers to see basically how we should be planning our operations here in Kyiv.